Hello, dear founder! In 2011, works on Healthcare.gov started, an American federal web resources under the provision of the Affordable Care Act. While initially the cost was estimated as $93–95 million, the final product cost the US government around $1.7–2.1 billion, which is around 2000% overrun of the budget. Can you imagine that your company overlifted 180% of your budget? Today we are talking about the ways to minimize your losses if your project suddenly exceeds your budget. An important note, this video is not about avoiding the problem, but dealing with it when it already happened. If you want to learn about previous tactics, that will be in the next video. Subscribe to the channel to not miss it. Now let's dive into those. Number 1, focus on business value. Back in 1999, which was an eternity ago, you might say a Swiss giant Hershey decided to implement a big package of ERP plus CSM plus CRM. The thing is, they pushed for development and implementation is only 30 months instead of recommended 48, and wanted all the features to be delivered together. As a result, they faced a decline in sales and revenue in peak season. The lost revenue in one quarter is estimated as more than $100 million. The lesson of the example is simple. If Hershey focused on the features that brought the most value to business and settled on adding more when the system was already implemented, they could have avoided these harsh consequences.
And now you deal with the consequences.
So, if you are facing budget overrun, concentrate on MVP and critical features and leave all this nice to have functionality for the future. In all honesty, 20% of features often give 80% of results, so focus on what is the most important and wait for the opportune moment to get the rest. Number 2. Conduct an audit. Another famous giant, Lidl, wanted to unify business processes using a SAP system, but faced huge problems when it comes to adaptation for the company's needs.
We have a problem!
The project lasted for years, and the company spent over 500 million euros before adopting the idea altogether and returning to the solution they used before starting.
And modern problems require modern solutions.
What you should learn from this story is that understanding of the processes is the key to every successful software project. The markers you should watch out for are pretty straightforward. Maybe you're experiencing the problems with over-engineering, or the team composition does not correlate with your needs, or there are unnecessary meetings and lots of work that can be automated. All those little things show that you are overpaying because your processes are simply overloaded. What you need to do here is not to find someone to blame, but to find what your money are spent on, and then decide how you can cut those costs. Even 10 or 15% optimization can save the project. Number 3. Freeze the scope and change the rules. Another example from the far past is Nestle's attempt at ERP implementation. They decided to unify the processes for all their numerous departments with different processes and numerous nuances. That made the core of the issue the project faced. Not only the budget reached almost $500 million, twice the initial estimate, but it took almost 5 years to complete all the various adaptations.
It's a very, very long story.
This is the prime example of weak leadership and the attempts to accommodate different departments with their specific processes. But it's perfectly obvious that if your scope constantly grows, your budget will be burning too. Every new feature, every small detail is time and budget. You should understand that to make those possible, someone has to put in some time and effort.
Maximum effort.
What you should do here is to record the current scope version in writing and establish a change request process. That would save you from random alterations that pile up just because someone thought that some features could make the difference. Number 4. Revise your tech solution. The story of Nike's attempt to implement a demand management system is also a tale that should teach you something. The problem with it was that the integrations weren't thorough. In fact, they were so badly designed that the system failed to predict the demand for the Air Jordan, line arguably the most successful for Nike. The company lost around $500 million because of lost sales and lawsuit alone.
Oh shit, here we go again.
This is what lack of testing and chaotic tech choices lead to, and the perfect architecture for any software you have in mind usually costs business much more than you would want it to. But you have to ask yourself, do you need the perfection you probably never see live, or do you need a real working solution that will deal with your problems? So you might want to check your roadmap and cut out the parts that are not absolutely necessary for your product's functionality. Perhaps you will even have to agree to temporary compromises instead of the perfect solution you had in your head, but at least you will have it working. Number 5. Have an honest discussion with stakeholders. When NHS Connecting for Health started development, British national IT infrastructure, the projected expenses were set at £2.3 billion. After the serious problems started, the final numbers hit £20 billion. When those problems hit, the development team had to bring regular reports to the British Parliament's Financial Committee, and the government considered different scenarios, including shutting down parts of the project. That is a thing you absolutely need to do if you understand that nothing else is going to help.
Whatever you need to do it!
A kind of last resort, if you will, because of course it's better to solve the problem inside the team. Yet when this is impossible, you to have solved them anyway. But mind you, this is not a step 3 or step 5 or whatever. You access the situation, and if you see that no other options are viable, you go and gather your stakeholders. Then you can offer the stakeholders 3 options. You either decrease the scope, increase the budget, or move the deadlines. Maybe a combination of several if the situation calls for it. Now to sum things up. If you are facing a budget overrun, you have to act immediately. You have a selection of possible choices, from changing the roadmap, getting rid of the unnecessary embellishment, to the most drastic measure, discussing the problem with stakeholders. Every single one of them can help you move your project forward. Steadily, if not swiftly, and with the gaze set on the final line. And you will save your budget instead of running your company into an early grave.
What are you doing? I'm burying you.
Just remember, it's dangerous to play around if money is involved, especially if your company is not a giant that can easily recover like our examples. That's all for today. It was your trustable Chief Executive Officer. We'll see you.